So when you say I am stupid, you're going to get results that are I am stupid. When you say I am wealthy, I am rich, I'm a powerful real estate investor, when you are calling people, you're going to come off as a very powerful real estate investor. So this is why the different dynamics of how the mind works comes into play and why it comes into play for every other successful person.
Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Podcast.
The Dream Team Podcast, Episode 5. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyler Zesch. We're here with the CEO of the Dream Team, Zach Allen, and our Vice President, Alejo Moreno. We have a special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, Austin. He's a real estate wholesaler originally based out of San Diego. Austin, how's it going, man?
Good, man. I feel like I was just in my car right now, man. Your radio voice is 100%, man.
Oh, yeah, we've been working on it.
It's not Tyler Zesch. You said your name wrong. It's Tyler Zosh.
Hey, that is not true.
That's the only way
It's a voice that
Siri calls
matters,
it.
though. It's a voice that
You're going to get a
matters.
phone call from all the Zeshes in the world.
That's the only way Siri will actually call you when I say
There's
your
only
name
5 Zeshes in the world. Don't kid yourself.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
She only answers to Zosh? What'd you say? What'd you even say?
Wait, what's the right way to say it?
Zesh?
No, it's Zosh. You said it wrong.
No, it's
Anyways.
So Austin,
hello.
tell
My
me.
name?
So when
Wait,
I
it's
first
Austin, right?
Yeah, like Austin, Texas.
Okay,
You know
cool.
what I mean? Yeah.
Austin. So tell me about your story, how you got started, because that's, I feel like, the most powerful thing I've heard. I don't know if they've heard. Maybe they did in Texas, but yeah, tell the collective listeners about your story.
Yeah, man.
How you got
So
started?
my name is Austin. I'm currently 23 years old. I'm in real estate investing. I initially started off wholesaling in San Diego off the MLS. Then I went virtual wholesaling and got a few. Yeah, man.
Shout
Got a
out to
few
the
deals.
MLS.
I got the first month I started in real estate virtually. I got 6 contracts in my first month. Ended up buying a house and, yada, yada. But this journey's been going on for a while, man. And, yeah, I'm just a young entrepreneur. I'm really excited for the next 5, years. And in all reality, man, I'm really excited. I don't know if the people can see, but, you guys interviewed a couple other people before me, Jason and Jim. And, it's the entire time I was nodding, I'm really excited to start providing value to the conversation, man. And, yeah, it's going to be I know it's going to be a dope conversation.
That's awesome. I want to start off by saying, like, the amount of success you have reached by the age of 23, you are way ahead of so many people.
Alejo wishes you were his son.
I wish. As a matter of fact, a matter of fact, you can stay with me tonight, son.
We cuddled them, bro, or what? No.
I don't know about that, but my dog will cuddle with you.
Yeah, man, I think to
Call
begin
my dog
with,
Marcus. It's Argus.
I think, man, to begin with, age is really just a number. Like, dude, when I was at 18, I dropped out of college, started my first business. I was 19, 20, detailing like nice cars. So I started my first business was an automotive mobile detailing business. And I always felt like I had a in quotes, older soul. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, I think age is literally just a number. I think the most important thing is wisdom and knowledge. So regardless if I'm 23, 25, 30, whatever
That's some
achievements I get.
40-year-old shit to say right there.
Yeah, man. I don't know what it
old,
is.
bro.
I don't know if it's past lives coming in or what
Yeah.
it may possibly be. But yeah, 100%, man. I don't really pay attention to my age. And if anything, I utilize it as a benefit because when I go out to networking events, I talk the way I'm talking now. And it obviously captures, people's attention. But yeah, I always utilize it as a benefit than a negative without a doubt. But yeah, man, that's kind of my quick story and highlight of who I am.
So you mentioned that you started the mobile auto detailing.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and walk us through the mindset and the progression from when you started with that as your business
Right.
to where you are as a wholesaler and maybe some of the burdens that you've
I
encountered.
got to hear
in
the
between.
RV. You got to tell the RV story too.
Yo, there's so many things, man. This can turn into a huge, like, bunch of different subsections.
That's what we
but-
want.
Yeah, just pick the
get
good
it.
meat
Well,
and potatoes
we'll go
and get
over
into it.
Right, and then I'm sure it'll go deeper and deeper. But yeah, so what mainly happened was I've always been an entrepreneur essentially my whole life. I've always kind of followed my intuition. Back in 5th grade, I think I was like 9 years old or something like that. I was baking cookies from scratch. And I would bag them up and,
He still does it today.
Still does it today, yeah, as a side thing. I actually hired other bakers and stuff.
Like 4
leveraging my
wholesale
time.
properties, you get some free cookies.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Leveraging other people's times. But yeah, when I was in 5th grade, I think I was like 9 years old, baking cookies from scratch, bag them up in 2, and I would sell them for $1. And I remember I literally had a big backpack in 5th grade of all these cookies, these bags of cookies, and I would sell them for $1 each. And I'd make profit, use that to, reinvest, into ingredients and stuff like that. So middle school, buying and reselling candy. I made my first business plan for a lawn care company at 16. I mean, this goes way, way back, man. 18, I went to college. I actually was supposed to go to University of Arizona, man, and I was going to be paying over 6 digits in tuition. Wow. And the last second, my financial aid fell through, and I ended up not going to that school and went to community college, where I dropped out my first month and started a business. So that was the automotive detailing business, and that story is really crazy as well. But after that business failed, I started a second business, which was an online business, a drop shipping business, and it ended up eventually leading to where I'm at today. And there's a few more things as well in between that. So it's like I said, the story goes back far before, but now I'm into real estate. I'm transitioning to fix and flipping, buying and holding, buying out properties and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's been a journey, and I know the next 5-10 years are going to be, unrecognizable. So I'm super excited.
Can you tell your RV story, please?
Yeah, man. So this was about like a year ago. So right now we're in October. We just hit October 2021. Almost a year ago, back in December of 2020. I was trying to get into real estate. And I paid I think total for my education at that time, I was about $30K in. And keep in mind, my background comes from I've never been given anything. So to get $30K, I had to figure out how to do it on my own. And so I started trying to wholesale in San Diego. I bought a course in San Diego for like $15,000. Yeah, man, pretty crazy. And back then it was a super big investment. I was flipping cars. And before that, I was actually had 2 full-time jobs. So like I said, there's so many subcategories to this story.
So with that 15 grand, what were you expecting to get out of it? Or what was the pitch for you to invest that 15
grand?
Dude,
I was expecting to be walking on water when it came to real estate investing, man. Because 15K is a lot of money,
They're like, 15 grand, let me teach you how to turn water.
We're going to turn you into Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I was trying to levitate, But yeah. What happened
You are a vegan, so you're pretty close.
Exactly. That was a clean diet. Yeah, man. So what ended up happening
Shout out
was,
to vegans out there. We love all of you.
Yeah,
we love vegans.
Clear thoughts.
Even the
Shout out
fake
to
ones.
Clear Thoughts. Shout out to Clear Thoughts. But yeah, man, what
Shout
ended
out
up
to Clear Thoughts.
there you go. That's a new one. Should be like a t-shirt or something. But yeah, what ended up happening was that I was out in I had 2 jobs at the time. And I started to realize my true potential because I've been, in the business for a while. My second business was an automotive accessory store. And I utilized viral marketing. I learned the algorithm of Instagram, and I utilized that to make viral content to drive traffic to a website where I sold products. Wow. So, like I said, a lot of this stuff goes back pretty far, man. And, when it came to, where the connection comes from is that when I started that second business of the online company, somebody similar to, my partner in that business had a client that I was already familiar with, and he was a real estate investor in San Diego. So to me, he already had some kind of reputation, and he initially was charging $15,000 for the whole entire education program. Long story short, I'm not a type of person who can just basically crap out $15K. My family basically comes from the struggles, and like I said, everything I've achieved to this point has been something I've created from within, right? So I was actually at 2 full-time jobs. I started flipping cars and quit my jobs and started going full-time into flipping cars and rolled that money over into my real estate education, which led to, me, the San Diego real estate investing program, and then, to the virtual wholesaling now. But which is kind of where the story leads to the fix and flip of the RV, man.
Love that story.
There's so many sub categories of stories we can go into, as you can tell. I mean, I'm barely scratching the surface of what I've experienced in life, but I can, based on, that's what you guys say, I have an older soul and stuff like that, is because, of all the experiences I've gone through and never gave up, and to where I'm at now on the podcast.
So I kind of want to lay like a quick little foundation for the RV story so we can get into it.
Yeah.
Because I have heard it, once or so.
In the flesh. Yeah.
But
in the flesh.
So basically, it just shows the amount of effort and devotion you have to being able to execute that long-term goal. Because if I'm not mistaken, that RV situation was just a stepping stone to get you to the position where you can actually pay for these courses, get into real estate, and get where you wanted to be.
Right.
But it shows that you did what you had to make it work. So go ahead and tell us where it started, the first, when you found the RV.
Yeah, man. So what ended up happening was I was actually already flipping cars for a while. I had 2 full-time jobs, quit, and I was flipping cars. I was buying like Mustang GTs with nitrous and flipping them and making $1,000. Like, I bought I think it was a 650 bike GSX, and I was able to ride that and make like $1,000 off of it. So I was.
Did you ever lose money?
Yeah, like maybe one or two times.
Let him get to the story.
Yeah, I mean,
I just needed to know.
yeah, man. Everybody in any kind of like entrepreneur venture or business venture, they're gonna lose money, and I lost, not too much, but every time I lost money was a learning experience. So I wouldn't say I lost money. I would say I gained experience. But how it ended up leading into the RV situation was I was serious about, starting my real estate investing career. I had no idea how to do real estate. But I knew real estate was always going to be my vehicle to success, and I decided to go bigger from flipping disc cars and making $1,000 to $3,000 profit to flipping RVs. And I studied the market, and at that time COVID was happening, so RVs were really big and really in demand. So I knew for a fact that I could basically flip them. So I ended up finding an actual RV in Arizona. I'm from San Diego. Man, this story gets really crazy and really interesting. But the long story short is that I ended up buying an RV for like $5,000, and on the way back from Arizona, the property. I'm in real estate, so you gotta forgive me. Our RV ended up the transmission ended up breaking, so it's pretty crazy in the middle of the desert. And at this time, I was actually I was in that San Diego real estate investing group, right? Yeah. And I paid $15K. And what ended up happening, man. The mic is on. What ended up happening, man, was that in that actual initial investing program, I got screwed over because it ended up being a full-on farce, man. My CRM was Google Sheets, and to get to that point of investing $15K into that education program, I risked so much. And when that started to fail, I ended up flipping the RV. And when I was flipping the RV on the way back from Arizona, and keep in mind at this time I was completely broke. So I convinced my brother to pay for the RV, and we would split just the profit. So he would invest all the initial, investment up front. Then we would split the profit. So I was already like over leveraged. And I got this RV, found this RV for super cheap in Arizona from San Diego, drove to Arizona, bought the RV cash, and on the way back, the transmission blew, man. Dude, literally transmission fluid all over the freeway. And man, we had like no money. We had like a couple $1,000s in my brother's bank account, not my bank account. My bank account was negative at the time.
Oh.
And man, so long story short, we ended up renovating it, selling the RV, and making some profit, which is how I invested into my initial down payment into my real estate, which led to where I'm at now, which is learning how to wholesale virtually and then buy a couple properties, build capital to now where I live in a completely different state across the country, and I'm starting to increase my real estate career, which is getting to fix and flips, buy and holds, and really building my wealth. So it's a crazy story, like I said, many subcategories, but that's a very slim scratching the surface of, the things I've went through.
That's amazing. And just to know that you've put in so much work, and I know you say it's just a number, but you're only 23 and you've already put in this much work. So that's just shows how far ahead you are.
Right.
So now go ahead and give us some insight into the virtual wholesaling that you're doing now, and let us know, how that maybe your first interaction, or maybe a worst case scenario of like what actually happened. Yeah, give us a horror story, or just let us know how that looks for you now with your day-to-day job doing the wholesaling.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was I started in wholesaling in San Diego off the MLS, and I paid for that one program for $15K, ended up not working, and I was like, you know what, I was broke. I was in debt. I have it in my journal. I was in debt $19,000, and I decided to invest in a course that I found for $197, and it was my last ditch resort. I have a video. This is crazy. I have a video of me recording me in front of the bank, and I'm like, you know what? I failed. I paid $15,000. Keep in mind, at this time, I was paying rent, and I was paying a whole entire another real estate investing program, and I was paying $13.50 a month for that. So I'm already dirt broke, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna invest this $197 into this program and see if it works. I literally made a video. I'm like, this is kind of sketchy, but fuck it. I've already
done it with 15 grand. So what's 100?
Exactly. What can I lose at this point? And that actual program ended up leading me to going virtual wholesaling. I started virtual wholesaling, cold calling, and texting. And I ended up getting 6 deals within my first 4 weeks, which is 1 month. And then I ended up, from those deals that I closed, I ended up buying my first house, which I ended up moving into in Tennessee from San Diego. And man, it's a crazy progress, but virtual wholesaling for anybody is 1,000% possible, and that's kind of how I started my career in building capital.
So if you don't mind me asking, if you're comfortable giving the numbers out, so you invested a couple $100 to learn virtual wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you make from those 6 deals that you had in the first 4 weeks? What was the return on investment like?
ROI, especially if you understand communication and how to talk to people. I initially invested like $500, $600, and I made $60,000 in my first month. So it's super crazy. And keep in mind, dude, and it gets crazier, bro, because I was in my room in San Diego and I was virtual wholesaling in Tennessee in a city where I had no idea existed 3 months before. So it just goes to show when you actually educate yourself, you have the proper intentions and you never give up, you can create the results that you want. So, and you know, with virtual wholesaling, it's possible. All you need is it's like the typical guru advertisement. All you need is a phone and a internet connection and a laptop. But this is like for real, you know, like this is like dead ass the next like generation type of thing of what you can do. Virtual wholesaling is 1000% possible because I just started off not knowing shit about investing real estate at all and went from the MLS to virtual wholesaling. So 1000% possible.
I'm curious about your house. Like, what did you buy it for? Did you get a good deal on it?
Sounds like
super good.
Sounds like you took your $60,000 and invested it again.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I ended up doing, man, was that dude, I could tell you, man, there's so many subcategories. I was homeless at one point, man, and finally I was able to build myself to have my own room. I was paying $600 with my family, and I started virtual wholesaling from there. Was able to get 6 contracts my first month, and then after that, I rolled over the money that I made from closing 4 of the contracts to close the 5th contract, which is the house I live in today. So yeah, man, and that deal came from a portfolio deal. I was able to get massive amount of equity built into the property, and I paid $30,000 out of the door. Our actual contract was agreed for $28,000, and that property is worth in sitting condition minimum $75,000 at $80K. And that property has massive worth about, you know, after renovations, maybe 150, 145. And after 5 years, because I studied the market of where I picked my virtual market, in 5 years, that house is going to be worth like $300,000, $320,000. So in this market, all I'm doing is I'm just literally building up capital, using other people's money and investing in the properties to keep for myself because that equity is going to build over time.
That's great.
And this is the wealth.
He's figured
this
all
is the
shit
wealth.
out.
Right. And what makes me think about that too is that if I'm able to achieve this at 23 with the knowledge I know today, where am I going to be at 1 year from now? Where am I going to be at 2 years from now?
Yeah.
It's beyond just the business idea because at the end of the day, money is great. But what I want to do is create some kind of way of where I can make passive income to live the life I want and build the connections that are proper, right? And the more money that I make, right, $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, $50 million, the more power and influence I can have on the world. So if I'm serious about changing certain dynamics of what's going on with reality right now, I'm going to have to get serious about building my wealth to actually have a true effect, positive effect on what's going on with everything right now in our world.
And I kind of want to give some insight too to those who are listening because about maybe 6 months ago, I personally reached out to you after hearing your first RV story in Houston. And we could show all the Facebook messages.
Yeah.
I was like messaging him at like midnight. And I'm like,
I was like replying and shit.
asking him like a million questions about it. Like, you know, and I think all those questions came out as like, you know, almost like fear of actually doing it and trying to figure out every situation, like super analyzing it. And
which is typical from a lot of people because I understand, right? Because not only is wholesaling very difficult, but virtual wholesaling, like that's a whole other dynamic.
So I didn't do the virtual. I stayed in my backyard in person. That's the aspect I haven't taken yet.
Right. And it goes to show how difficult wholesaling is in general because I remember when I first learned about it, I'm still fixing cars. I had no idea what wholesaling real estate was. When I learned people were doing it, I was like, yo, this is possible. Like I almost feel like at the time, I almost feel like only other people could do it and not me. And then as I started to progress internally in self-development, it started to reframe where I was like, dude, if anybody can do this, I can do this. And it ended up working out. So, yeah.
And so after our conversation, and so the way I do things is when I get interested in something, I dive like full in. Like for like 2 or 3 days straight, I was up from like 6 a.m. till like, 3 or 4 a.m. just researching it, understanding it, studying, watch every video I can, asking all my resources questions, everything. And within 30 days of doing the things that Austin told me about, and I even asked him like, how do I overcome this objection? How do you approach it in this situation? How do you ask the seller to do this? And my first deal was a $37,000 deal.
Hell yeah, man. Which just goes to show that when you actually apply the knowledge that you obtain, you can achieve the results that you want. And yeah, man, like I said, this is definitely possible for anybody. And if you have the proper mindset, which is why all of us, the prior speakers before me, were all speaking about mindset, because that's a huge major thing. Because if you feel like wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, any kind of business, any kind of thing you want to do is impossible, that's the results you're going to get. But if you believe it's actually, something that you can achieve, that's what will actually come into fruition. So, man, like I said, there's so many things. It's different dynamics a part of this, but it's an accumulation of a bunch of knowledge that happen over time, which will, create a compound effect to the results that you want. So, yeah, man, there's a bunch of different dynamics to all this, but real estate is super dope, man.
I got a question. What's it with doing all this? What's it like to actually own your own home? Do you feel like pride in that ownership or
Dude,
what?
I was literally just telling the story not too long ago about I mowed my lawn for the first time, and I dude, bro, let me tell you,
That's some dad shit right there.
Dead ass, dude. I had the white Nikes or whatever,
There you go.
the shorts and everything. Yeah, bro. The last time I cut a lawn was in 8th grade. I was 12 years old, and I enjoyed it. And I was I can't wait till I own my own fucking house and I can cut my own lawn. So when I actually was able to do it, coming from where I come from nothing, it was such a huge accomplishment, man. I stood in front of my house after the lawn was mowed. I edged it with a weed whacker, and I was like, yo, this shit looks fucking
That's a
good.
nice fucking lawn.
That's a nice house, bro. That's worth fucking 120.
How long do you want to live there?
Literally 1 more month. Dude,
Oh, wow.
I've been there for since June, bro. So it's been 4 months now. But nonetheless, I'm dude, progressing more and more and more into real estate investing. And initially I knew that wholesaling was just going to be a strategy to build capital. And now I'm at that transition, bro, where I'm getting all the contractors in line. I'm getting all my networking is starting to pay off, where I'm here now able to connect with other investors in the area, where I'm getting all these kind of deals just coming to me. And yeah, man, I'm transitioning into fix and flips, buy and hold. And the main strategy I'm focusing on right now is building my wealth through this strategy called BRRRR. And where,
Can you explain that?
Yeah, so BRRRR is buy, renovate, refinance. Buy, renovate, refinance. Wait, my bad. Let me restart. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So what ends up happening is that initially what the typical people think with real estate investing is that, dude, literally I ran into random people and they always say this. You need some kind of VA loan where, you put only 4% down, you do a 30% loan. When you do BRRRR, you utilize other people's money and you actually buy the property, fix it up, burn it out. And you're able to, refinance your money out, get all your initial investment out, and you're able to build wealth that way. And you're able to reutilize that money you refinanced out into other properties that you have under contract. So I have a whole system going, man. I have an acquisitions business where I get real estate contracts, and I decide from there, what am I going to do with this property? Am I going to wholesale it? Am I going to fix and flip it? Am I going to buy and hold it? What's the best strategy for my goal and my intentions to pursue forward? So I'm able to get deals at a really good discount. And real estate is an extremely powerful resource when you understand how to utilize it at a proper manner.
So with your BRRRR process that you're working on, obviously you have to buy in, right? And know your market as well, right, to know that you're buying in, right?
Right.
What markets are you looking at? Are you looking at the one where you actually own your own home, or are you elsewhere?
All of the above. Really, in all reality, here's the thing, right? I initially lived in San Diego. So the capital I would have to invest to buy my own house, or other people's capital I had to invest, would be $650K. So what I did was I utilized my resources, my intellect from learning from different, courses, how to find a probable virtual wholesale market. Then I found finding an actual market where properties are only $30K. The house I bought was $30,000. So my initial investment is not even a down payment in San Diego. So the most important thing is to do your research.
That's crazy.
Very crazy,
nuts,
man. And the thing is this.
We need to look at
real estate, bro, real estate already has a high barrier to entry. Now, if you're serious about becoming successful in real estate, you want to make it as easy as possible. So the way you can do this is figure out a way, where is the lowest barrier to entry for this, right? Where can I go where properties aren't that expensive, but are still selling for a high amount, right? 150K. And I ended up finding a property where, like I said, a lot of houses I was getting was selling for 20,000, 30,000, 35,000. I just closed on a house literally 2 weeks ago, and the property, I closed it for 24,000 and it's worth 130 after it's fixed up. So there's very different elements to wholesaling, and there's very different elements to real estate investing. But wholesaling is just the foot in the door to get to the true wealth of what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. And that's kind of where we got to the point with Zach and I. I mean, we have our retail side, but we're slow. not slowly. We're quickly getting into the
Right.
investment
Very
side.
quick.
You guys have grown very, very quickly. Like
Super
I always
quickly.
say, like,
Now we got to get Austin over here.
oh yeah, dude, super down.
Put it
And
this way.
I was telling Zach earlier, I see him like every 3-6 months, and every time he's like, "Oh, I just like established this business. I just went to the moon. I just developed a rocket." Like every time there's like something super epic, and like literally, it's like nothing shallow. It's always something very big, and also not just an idea, but something he has already accomplished is in the process of creating. So it just goes to show, like when you set your true mind and your true intentions to doing something, it can lead to something even crazier, to the point where I'm in Tennessee, I'm in Washington now, where Zach was able to fly me out. So there's a bunch of different examples of what can happen from an initial one seed planting, if we're going to call it that.
Yeah. And I just kind of wanted to press on the point for those who are listening that if they want to get into wholesaling, like that's a great way to raise capital
For sure.
to put yourself in a position where you can actually be the buyer.
For sure.
And at that point, you can go through the BRRRR process, you can go through the flip process, but it's one hell of a way to build capital really fast if you do it well.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to get your real estate license, bro.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because initially what I was thinking, man, was that there's kind of no point in me getting my license. The only reason why would be because of EXP and the passive income you can make with EXP. But other than that,
yeah.
I'm not really interested in listing. I'm not really interested in working with buyer agents. What I'm interested in is owning the property, because what initially happened was I knew real estate was going to be my vehicle to success. And the way I started, this is fucking crazy, was that I had, my first business, I completely failed. My detailing business, my van got stolen. I lost my business overnight. So like literally a year later, after I was trying to get back on my feet, I was homeless at one point. I worked at a dealership, an automotive dealership, Chevy. I worked at Ford as a salesperson. Then I went from that.
You look like a automotive salesman.
Yeah, I love cars, bro.
I came from that world too.
Oh, dude, we can go even deep into that, dude. What I'm planning on starting right now is that when I get more acquisitions and more money, and that business is stable, because I'm focusing on that, building that first. Once that system is developed all the way, I'm going to start another business where I buy and resell performance cars. So I can literally see what I want. Do I want a Viper? Do I want a Lamborghini?
I got Dave Reynolds to agree to drive him and his Viper
Yes.
tomorrow.
Did you?
Dude, Zach,
Yeah.
you don't understand how excited I am for that, bro, because
Dude,
Vipers
sick.
have been my dream car forever. There's so many like dynamics behind it, so many
And Dave
history.
Reynolds is an asshole too, so he'll totally drift.
Oh, that's perfect, bro.
Oh, I need to
perfect.
get you guys my GoPro just so you can film it all. Just
Oh,
all
dude,
of it.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like my passion comes from cars as well. And the thing is this, right? And I can say it with this and add some more value as well, is that at the end of the day, like money is cool, but what you want to focus on is figuring out a way and a system, an actual process that can bring you money so you can live the ideal life that you want. I am passionate about real estate, but I'm really more passionate about is my freedoms. And also cars. I want to be able to, and I'm going to own, performance cars, have a big collection. So what I'm doing right now is I'm establishing systems that will give me that life that I want. And the earlier I start, 18, 17, however far back we want to say
23.
23, imagine 10 years from now, I'm going to be living that life I want. And there's so many different dynamics of when I was at rock bottom, I knew I was still going to make it, which what drove me on a continuous basis. And now I'm here being successful in real estate and continue to prosper in real estate. So, man, there's so many different dynamics to all this. But, the biggest thing here is all of mindset. And if you focus, right, this is what I'll say really quick, is that if you focus on people who are successful, you'll realize this. And this is what I realized, was that people who are successful, it takes a mind frame switch. It's all down to mindset. What you think about, you bring about, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand the dynamics of how the mind works, because that's what you attain in your life, right? How you imagine yourself to be is the reality that you'll live in. So you have to understand the different dynamics of how the mind works so you can utilize it and see the mechanism as it's working to work to your benefit. So, like I said, there's lots of different dynamics. Mind and communication and all that is an extremely topic that I'm extremely passionate about, because I know that's what took me to multiple different breakthroughs, and what I'm still going to represent to the day, I typically, I die, because I'm going to be doing fix and flips, dude. I'm going to be doing all kinds of stuff, and it's really just the beginning, because I'm 23. 10 years from now, I almost can't even imagine what the landscape's going to look like, because,
Man.
Of how much potential there is.
Yeah, so
you make
much ahead.
Alejo feel old, bro.
You do, yeah. You make me feel old, and I mean, I'm 28, but I'm grateful.
Super young.
I'm grateful for where I'm
Super
at, and
young.
I got a lot of time too. But
Right.
I'm just like, damn, if I would have gotten this at 23 like you.
Oh, for sure.
But then again, the thing about it, right? The KFC guy didn't start his business, the KFC business until he was 50. So
Right.
regardless of how old you are, at the end of the day, you're living
Age
life.
doesn't matter.
Age doesn't matter because you're living life through your own eyeballs. So regardless of if Jimmy got it at 5 years old, if Richard got it at 10, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because I even catch myself comparing myself in that degree. This guy's 18. Look at him. You know what I mean? But I'm still young, 23, So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to check if other people's grasses are greener than mine.
Right,
I'm just going to focus on mine, fertilizing my grass and, making sure it's well maintained or whatever you want to say.
So who was it that got you to the point where you had this mindset? Is it just something within you, or was there somebody in your life that helped you kind of just see the world in this aspect?
Good question, man.
Or what was it?
It's always been very intuitive, right? I can do a major big shout out to Brian Cassell. That's how we linked up.
ABC, there we go.
And a lot of people here linked up, man. This goes to show what you can do when you have the proper mindset and the proper execution over a cumulative time. But I've always been very, very attuned to the way the mind works. And I think as I started to develop and understand the different dynamics of the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, I started to, pick up on it intuitively, but was able to explain things I was always doing before that I didn't know necessarily had an actual topic behind it. But a big person was Brian Casella. And one thing I can say, regardless of who you guys follow, the most important thing, man, is that you guys have to be willing to invest in your education. Because if you're like a freebie trying to go off of YouTube, trying to go off of Google, you can only get so far. Because what happens, and I can direct this to real estate and wholesaling, is that people will be like, yo, I've watched freaking, whoever on YouTube and this guy on YouTube, and they're giving me both contradicting information, but it's free. What you want to do is you want to find somebody who's successful, who you actually have a similar learning, teaching and learning compatibility with, and follow them and go with them 100% and not really focus on all this other bullshit, which is why it's important to actually go underneath somebody that you trust and pay them, because when you pay them, they're willing to give information back to you. But if you just go off of somebody for free, they're not going to want to give you information because, dude, I've gone interviewed by people on YouTube and I have people on Instagram hitting me up and they ask me all kinds of questions. But at the end of the day, I'm running my own business. My time is worth a certain amount. So I'm not going to take my time to take a break from prospecting to make $50K to talk to somebody who's asking, a question they can find out from YouTube. So if somebody paid me, it'd be different because they're providing value to me. It's the law of exchange.
Don't offer me
the law
a
of
lunch
exchange.
meal
Right.
for all my
Can I pick your brain?
experience.
Can I pick your brain?
Can
all
I buy
that,
you some lunch and
Right.
pick your brain for a little bit?
Come forward with value. What can you do to provide for me or anybody that you can actually provide value for them where you can get information in exchange? So it's a value, the law of exchange. And it's really important. The way that you can overcome that is by paying for a mentorship and actually provide value up front to get the proper information that you want. The last thing I'll say here is that when you don't pay somebody, there's no motivation behind the guy teaching you to actually give you the proper direction. Now, when you pay somebody, there's more motivation behind him, wanting to talk to you and wanting to actually tell you what the proper thing to do is. And if you want to cut your learning curve, you can go on free stuff all day, but it's going to take you 5 years to learn how to wholesale. And you might not ever start. But if you pay for a mentorship program, you're committing to it, right? You're putting $1,000 down,
putting your money where your mouth is.
$2,000, right? And now you're like, yo, I put $2K into this, and if I want to bail, I'm gonna be out $2K. So I'm already invested into some of this. You know what? Fuck it. Let me figure it out and how it works. So one thing I can recommend is you definitely want to follow somebody, whether it's in mindset, whether it's in a particular topic you're trying to study and get proficient at. You want to find a mentor you're well compatible with and pay them, because that's very important to success.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, there's
sauce, man.
And one thing I can say is this, is that for a lot of people listening, and I get this all the time from my podcast, from my Instagram, from whatever, is that people ask, what's the one thing that you can do to become a multimillionaire that walks on water? There's no such thing, right? There's a bunch of different dynamics of different elements of what it takes to become successful. But the most important thing, 80%, 85, 90% is mindset and yourself and knowing how the mind works, because that's very, very important to a success. And that's one thing that we always talk about is mindset and what it really boils back down to.
Awesome. So now, what do you do on your off time, if you have any off time? It sounds like you work a fuck ton. So there may not be anything that you do for Joy, but before we started this podcast, you were talking about, your gamer tag and stuff. Do you game out or anything like that? Like,
nah, bro. I used to in eighth grade.
Let us know about like Austin. Is he just the workhorse that doesn't stop, or what do you do for Joy?
And I can see why like that like, perspective is put on people. But the thing at the end of the day is that I'm passionate about being successful. So like I don't really see like the steps to becoming successful is really like something hard to do because I know where I want to be. I know what it takes. And at the end of the day, I have fun progressing. Like maybe the actual, like the knickknacks and having to call 100 people, 500 people, whoever amount of people a day, that stuff's boring. But progress is the most euphoric feeling I can ever have, and it beats out anything. So I understand that if I utilize discipline to achieve those results, I'll have that euphoric feeling. So
that's good.
I think it's very important to know what kind of direction you're headed into, because that will take you throughout the days of even the hard days as well. But on the free time, man, like I'm just learning how to develop myself at a higher degree. I'm reading a bunch of different books. I'm learning right now how to golf. I haven't started golfing yet. I'm gonna go to the golf range, bro.
He's good at golf.
Yeah, dude. Because
I'm not good. I just like to get out there.
He's lying. He's
he's probably a beast. Yeah. He just says that now. He's gonna be hitting holes in ones and shit.
What are you reading right now?
Yeah, so one book I'm reading is Dianetics. That's a big breakdown of how the mind works. But now what I'm really focusing on is learning the actual nuts and bolts of what it takes to build my wealth in real estate. So I'm reading a book called like How to Burr, something like that, from Bigger Pockets. And another book from Ryan.
Shout out to Bigger Pockets.
Shout out to Bigger Pockets. Free.
Bigger Pockets.
Free.
Yo, it's insane.
Wealth of knowledge. It's amazing.
For sure. I would say it's probably the best free source that you can go to where actual investors who are at a high quality, at a high rate, are able to spit on, on a mic and able to provide value. But yeah, I'm reading another book called from Ryan Panetta called like How to Fix and Flip, because like I said, I'm transitioning from wholesaling to fixing and flipping. So reading is really important, man, to developing yourself in all aspects, your intellect, the way you conversate with people, and the way that you perceive yourself and different things like that. So yeah, man, reading is important. Yeah, man. I know it can be a lot to take in. I'm passionate about everything, man. I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about progressing. I'm passionate about mindset. So I'm sure, as you can tell from my conversation, my tonality and all that, this is a huge thing for me, man. And you know what? To go back to your question, bro, is that like on my free time, I watch anime, bro. Like I fuck with One Piece. Naruto was dope, bro. Like, yo, I remember my brother, he is a big gamer. I've never been a big gamer, but he told me about Naruto, man. And I was like, yo, that's just whack. Like, why would I watch Naruto?
That's where I'm at.
Yo, all right, let me tell you, bro. I was in the same position.
Oh, man, I'm about to get jumped right now.
Who wants to jump in?
I need help.
Okay, this isn't exactly anime, but do you watch Rick and Morty?
I did a little bit. Yo, low key, bro, they be talking about woke stuff. So like, maybe on like every now and then. I just thought about it recently about watching Rick and Morty, but
it's pretty funny show.
It is, man. The main ones that I watch is I've watched Naruto back when I first started my first business, but now I'm currently watching One Piece. There's like 1,000 episodes, and I'm on like episode like 700. So I'm try hard with that One Piece, but that's kind of what I do in my free time, man. And that even like what's kind of funny is that even that storyline kind of like attaches to what I'm doing now. So like it kind of all makes sense, It's kind of hilarious how that works. But yeah, man, I'm a super big guy about real estate and mindset, progress, connecting with other people. Zach flew me out here from Tennessee, so like it just goes to show like what you can do when you plant the proper seeds. And I met Zach, I don't even know how long ago, maybe over a year ago. I literally don't know at this point. But
Texas.
Yeah, in Texas, and it just goes to show that literally like things take time to actually progress and to show the results of the seeds that you plant. So just keep continuously planting the proper seeds. And last thing I'll say here as well is that I can touch on this is that subconscious mind is always listening. There's a conscious mind, then there's a subconscious mind. So you want to make sure that you're always planting the proper seeds because you are consistently planting seeds. So you want to make sure that you're aware of how the dynamics work between between the subconscious and the conscious mind, and how to utilize that to your advantage to get the results you want. Because what you think about, you bring about both positive and negative. And the subconscious mind cannot differ between what a positive thing and a negative thing is. It just sees neutral. So when you say I am stupid, you're going to get results that are I am stupid. When you say I am wealthy, I am rich, I'm a powerful real estate investor, when you are calling people, you're going to come off as a very powerful real estate investor. So this is why the different dynamics of how the mind works comes into play, and why it comes into play for every other successful person. Learn how the mind works and you will achieve any kind of success you want, whether it's real estate, whether it's being a janitor. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you have to understand how the mind works, because once you do, everything else in your life in all aspects will improve. So yeah, that's what I can say.
That's some good stuff right there.
I feel like I'm on fire right now, dude. Like Goku or something.
Yeah, he's fucking going. Do any of you guys have any last questions or final thoughts or anything?
I don't think so, dude.
What's your favorite book?
Are you gonna cuddle with me tonight?
I definitely will, and maybe I'll read my favorite book while I do. But what I do,
Bedtime stories with Austin.
like the transition, yeah, man. So I can say it just depends on kind of what like area that you're in. If you're just starting like developing yourself, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson completely changed my life. Like I failed in my first business, I failed in my second business, and I was like, yo, is this shit gonna work? And at the time, I bought a 350Z that needed the engine swapped, and that failed too. So technically, I failed at 3 ventures, and I was like, fuck. I had 2 full-time jobs, and I was like, yo, like, is this entrepreneurship shit? Like, is it real? Like, yo, I've tried 3 times, and I've gone full in every single time, and I had another job, whatever it may have been. I read The Subtle Art, Not Giving a Fuck, completely changed my mind thought and the way I thought. Then I read another book called You Are a Badass. And I literally, this is fucking crazy, man. I literally remember the day where I was at my first job and I was reading in my 350Z the book of You Are Not a Badass. And I remember the mind frame change that I had. And after that, it's only been exponential growth since then. So reading is very important, and I would recommend The Subtle Art Not Giving a Fuck for the people who are just starting, because I
love the title.
Yo, let me just say something real quick.
Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Great title, and that's why I read it, because before, bro, I've been like a math geek, yo. I was like, humanities, that shit's whack. I'm not gonna read books, I'm not gonna write stuff, but Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck made me completely change my mind to how powerful reading is and how much it can change your mind. And after that, You Are a Badass by like Jennifer something. That was an extremely good book.
That book is amazing. Yellow cover.
Super good book.
Amazing book.
And that's what started to make me understand like different aspects of spirituality. Think and Grow Rich is, in my eyes, almost like the Bible, but put in layman's terms of business. So Think and Grow Rich is an extremely important book as well. So I would say Subtle Art Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I would say You Are a Badass and Think and Grow Rich for anybody who is just starting to get into that world, because like I said, I did not like reading books, started reading those books, and I love it, and I still read to this day, which is like 2 years later, so super important. Reading books is very important to your success. If you're serious about becoming successful, reading is going to have to be, a dynamic of your life. So yeah, man, that's what I can say about as far as the the books to read.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man.
We're
absolutely.
glad to have you.
You the man.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad I was able to talk all you guys. Dude, like I said, dude, like for 3 hours, bro, I've been nodding my head yes. And I'm glad
I wish I could have seen you.
For real, man.
I saw it. I was over here cheering.
I was laughing and shit. I was turning up. I was like, yo, you just said some fire. But yeah, man. Like now, like I'm just very, very happy I'm able to come here and to speak with you guys. I know it's going to lead to further, more relationships, more business development. So I'm glad I'm able to come out here, spit some actual knowledge and be able to connect with you guys at a high level, because I love high level conversations.
Thank you for making it out. We hope you enjoy the Pacific Northwest and
hell yeah, man.
Enjoy the beauty.
He's addicted to coffee now.
Yes, and Washington's the town, bro. Pizza, fucking coffee. Come here and get the coffee. It's a wrap. You're not going to want to move.
Here's no joke.
Yeah, man. It's real, man. It's real out here. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys. Glad we're able to have a high level conversation. I know it's not going to be the first one, just the door opening to more potential. And I'm excited to what we're going to crack down in the future, regardless.
Thank you guys for listening. This was the Dream Team Podcast, episode 5. We'll see you next week.